The reason why I called, Pete, I just wanted to bring this issue up because there was a story in the media. I was looking at it this morning, and it was related to the Labrador Highway and the fact that it wasn't going to be completed this year. They were going to have to wait till 2015. And certainly, I'm not. I'm not going to say that there's issues they've cited around weather and the time of the year and so on, and some of that may be well and good, and I'm not. It is or it isn't. But one thing that comes to my mind, though, when I think about that, is the fact that I had to listen in the House Assembly day after the last sitting, day after day after day, when questions were being put to the former Minister of Transportation Works by Dwight Ball and Tom Osborne in particular as the critic on the Humber Valley Paving. And the same phrase I kept hearing over and over again ad nauseum was that we have to be on time and on budget. Mm-hmm. And, of course, and that was the rationale that was given for releasing Humber Valley Paving from that $19 million. And we know the impact that that's had on a number of small businesses now who are, left without payment and trying to find some way to get paid. And now we know that it's going to be neither on time nor on budget. Well, absolutely. We're over. I believe we're over $1 million now over budget or more, mm-hmm. And now it's not going to be on time either. And that was the rationale that was given. And of course, we also know that as a result of this whole fiasco, as people have called it, the Auditor General was brought in, and basically the Auditor General's report that came back basically left more questions than it did answers around, who was involved, who knew what, why there was no paper trail for this. There was a lot of peculiarities, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And, our new premier, because it's fine to talk about the fact that, like the government may want to try to separate themselves, saying, well, that happened during a time when we were, going through leadership. We had an interim leader and all that kind of stuff. And we have a new leader now and a fresh start. Well, this new leader and this new premier that we have had the opportunity to do the right thing when the Auditor General's report came in and like I said, had more questions than answers. He had the opportunity to listen to what people were saying, to what the opposition was saying, to people in the public to say, we need an inquiry here. We need an inquiry to get to the bottom of exactly who knew what, why there was no paper trail, and so on. And this current premier decided that he wasn't going to do that. And that was an opportunity at that point in time to prove that they had changed, that they were listening to the people, that they were open and transparent and accountable. And they failed to do so. And certainly when I saw that story yesterday, that was certainly brought that home to me again, and it just sort of, I revisited that in my mind. Yeah, well, of course, they said that the fire was a major problem. A lot of people dispute that. That's why the work didn't get done under Humber Valley Paving, and then now the rain under the new company has been the problem. They've been delayed, and of course now this time of year it's cold, so they've used almost every natural kind of phenomena or element in their arguments. Now, when I had Mr. Ball on the program and asked him if he became premier, would he confirm that an investigation would ensue? And he kind of answered it in an interesting way. He said that he was saying today that if he was premier now, it would happen, but he didn't guarantee. I don't think, and a few listeners pointed this out, that he never really specifically stated that if and when he becomes premier, he will be calling for an investigation into the Humber Valley Paving incident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Pete, first of all... well, do you know, am I wrong there? Am I selling him short, or has he confirmed that in a different way at a different time? Well, all I can tell you is, first of all, I never heard the call, so I don't know what he said, and I can't speak for him and put words in his mouth. All I can tell you... So it's not a policy or platform piece on part of the Liberals that they would definitely be doing a judicial inquiry into the Humber Valley Paving? I'm not aware of an actual policy statement being put out at this time. I'm not aware of it. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say, and really what you need to do is you would have to ask that himself directly, and I'm sure he would answer it for you. But I can tell you that... It's
a little curious that it's not, though, given everything that's been said.
Pardon me?
It's a little curious that it hasn't been made official or become a piece of policy because of everything that's been said. I mean, you would assume that the Liberal Party would be just waiting and wishing for the time when they could make that review a reality.
Well, I believe that we need to get to the bottom of it. I really do. I believe that you know, that there's too many questions that are gone unanswered, and you know, while the former minister may have fallen on his sword and so on. I think there's a lot of people that I have spoken to, even people I've spoken to out here, but people in general who, you know, are very skeptical that a lot of people do not believe for 1 second that the former minister acted totally on his own and that others weren't involved or didn't know and, you know, that knew nothing about it. I think that it's fair to say that a lot of people think that, you know, there would have been more people that probably would have known about all the dealings that were going on. And, you know, I think the only way to truly get those answers would be to have some sort of a inquiry where people are put on the stand and so on and have to answer those tough questions because, you know, what went on here, I think a lot of people would think is scandalous, to say the least.
Well, certainly it was rare and it was rash, and there was very little documentation to be had. And you wonder, though, under an investigation, how much would you be able to glean, given that there's very little in terms of paperwork on it, and people perhaps can only respond with so much before they sort of say, well, I don't remember or I don't know.
Yeah, I get you, but I guess people would have to respond under oath and so on, and I guess leave it up to, you know, that's why
they were under oath under the Auditor General as well, right? That was all under oath as well.
Well, I'm not so sure how many, but I'm not so sure how far the Auditor General went in terms of, you know, asking people and questioning people on exactly who knew what and so on. I'm not so sure that the review that he did was more, to my knowledge, more of a paper exercise than anything else, rather than an investigation, that type of an investigation. But, you know, the bottom line is, Pete, is that there's a lot of questions that have not been answered, and I'm certainly not accusing anybody of anything, but I just think that there's a lot of questions that, you know, that need to be answered, and I think that the public has a right to know, and certainly the contractors who have been left in the lurch because of the fact that the bonds were canceled and so on, I think that they definitely deserve to know.
Well, the fact that the company that's currently in charge of that paving project is paying penalties, at least that's what I read, is very interesting because, of course, as we know, it would appear as though the company that had it before them got off without having to pay an awful lot of similar penalties. Anyway, sir, I have to go. I appreciate the call. We can talk about this again, and we'll see where it leads. But
feet to the fire. The House for Assembly opens. There'll be questions to be asked and questions hopefully to be answered, although generally speaking, there's always lots of questions asked, but very rarely do you get any straight answers. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we got to change it to answer period. Thanks again.
Yeah, we do indeed. Thank you, Pete. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
And we'll take